What was a sketchy cheap buy that ended up being one of your best purchases? Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Vancher channel. Also, please share your thoughts on this video in the comments. Let's get started. Story 1. I was traveling in Japan and needed nail clippers. All I could find is this cheap pink Hello Kitty grooming kit. These clippers are the best I ever owned. They have stayed sharp and functional for 20 years. I'm very protective of them. Everyone in the house knows you don't touch Dad's pink Hello Kitty nail clippers. Story 2. Guy said there were a bunch of bricks in his backyard he wanted to get rid of. 5 for all of them, if you'd come pick them up, because they were larger than regular bricks and were very heavy. I grabbed a friend and headed out because I needed some cheap brick for the edging of my garden. Guy's house was across the river and in some really rundown looking neighborhood. Really glad I grabbed my friend at this point. We pull up and the guy's waiting outside and he looks like he's 80, but I know he must have been a 35-year-old guy who just smoked 10 packs a day. So the guy takes us to his backyard and shows up the pile of bricks, which turn out to be 50 antique Louisville fire bricks. So I look at the guy and tell him, I'll take half of them, and as payment, I'll give you 20 and some advice. And of course, the guy is looking at me like I'm an idiot, but he accepts my money and helps me and my friend load up about 30 bricks. After I close my truck and get in the car to drive off, I tell him to Google the antique fire bricks and adjust his Craigslist listing. I went back to look at the listing a few days later, and he had changed the price from 5 for the whole pile to 5 per brick, which was the going rate at the time. Nowadays, they go for 20 brick. Best buy ever. Story 3. Seed packets from the dollar store. While in college, my boyfriend and I were broke, really broke, but I still wanted to do something to celebrate spring. We were getting a few cheap tea-bings at the dollar store when I noticed they were selling these seeds packets from a big old bin that you had to dig through. 4 for 1, no tax. I immediately begged to buy one despite our strict budget. Boyfriend was incredulous I'd want to buy sketchy seeds, but dutifully handed me a quarter. I ended up picking out tomatoes. Well, we got home and I carefully placed about 3 seeds in washed out cans. I watered them and watched them sprout. I love tending to my little garden. I ended up with 3 beautiful, huge tomato plants. It was a bumper crop, more than we could eat. I sold the extra produce to my classmates. Made like 25. Good seeds. Answer. Remember that you can also grow the seeds that you find in store produce. I've got Scotch bonnet peppers that I got from 30-cent discount peppers. Pepper seeds have a high rate of germination. The bottoms of lettuce and green onions can make more of the same, and garlic cloves produce shoots that can be used as a herb in just a few days. Tomato and strawberry seeds from a gross berry that's going off can produce plants, but you need to dry and clean them out first. If you just plant a berry or wet tomato seeds, they are likely to rot. If you ever have a garbage seed that's not growing, try putting it, dry yeast, in the fridge for a month because some seeds need a cold period, simulating winter in order to wake up. Story 4. Dad bought me a flannel jacket for 2 from the equivalent of a dollar store in '99. Wore it for everything you can think of. Wore it yesterday. Still going strong after 25 years. Edit. Pic taken today by request. The jacket. Story 5. I was traveling from a different city straight into work where my uniform was a white shirt with a conspicuously black bra. Wasn't stopping home, so I did sob on the first corner store I found and bought a $5 white bra that looked roughly my size as they had nowhere to try them on, just to wear one night. 1010, comfiest bra I ever owned, wore it every day of my life for about a year. It gave in at some point. It was still a $5 bra, but darn, I dream of the day when all my bras fit that well. Story 6. I was giving these college-aged young women a Lyft ride. One asked how that Craigslist thing went, so my ears perked up. The other says something like, he complained it went back too far. Just don't put it back so far, duh. Eventually, I deduced they are talking about a recliner, which I've been looking for one for some time now. I interject and ask about it. Lady has a La-Z-Boy electric recliner she just wants 20 bucks for. I'm like, listen, I know it's sketchy, but if you've got Craigslist randos in your house, Lyft at least gave me a background check. We pull up, I end the ride and follow these ladies into their house. I knew I wanted it as soon as I laid eyes on it. So this college chick is helping me stuff a recliner into my back seat, and all I can think is this is how Buffalo Bill kidnapped that girl in Silence of the Lambs. $20 for a recliner so lazy, it reclines for me. Story 7. The Bra of Mystery. First strike, I bought it from a grocery store. Second strike, it was marked down to 2 and plastered with stickers reading final sale, no returns. We're not liable if this eliminate you. I'm sure there are people who love you and the like. Third strike, upon ringing it through, the cashier did a double take at the screen, looked at me with great concern and asked if I was sure I wanted to buy it. After failing to self-combust and send me straight to hell, it wound up being one of the nicest bras I ever had. Wore it for 2 years before the inevitable underwire tit shanking. I still wonder what they thought was wrong with it. Story 8. Bought my kitty for $20 on Craigslist from a legit meth addict. I had never had a cat before, and this little meow factory has been my best friend ever since. Answer, seller lists several 2-month-old kittens on Craigslist. First come, first serve. We pull up to an area of town known for high crime and substances at like 11 at night. Seller plops this impossibly tiny kitten into my hand wordlessly. She was only 3 weeks old. The seller gave us some shoot about how her sister's cat just had kittens, and she didn't want to make a whole new post about it. Kittens were listed for 10, the seller was asking for 15. All we had was a 20. I looked at my now fiance and we knew no one else was going to take care of her. We drove that kitten home in a laundry basket. Nearly 3 years later, that kitten is attached to my hip, and I can't think of a better 20 investment. Story 9. No label old beat to shoot vinyl acetate record with handwritten, "That'll be the day" on it. Paid 1. Ended up being a live Buddy Holly recording. Sold it for $9.70. Story 10. I bought a blanket in Mexico in 1986 for $5. I still have it, and it is super soft and comfy. It has been abused, washed, etc., and it is still in great shape. Story 11. 12 rain boots at Value Village. I've thrashed these things living in rural Alaska, and they're still totally watertight 2 years later. Story 12. I bought a small turtle from a gas station in Florida when I was in the 1st grade. Max proudly lived until the end of my senior year. Story 13. At the end of a long road trip with some mates, I bought a 20 pair of sunglasses in a gas station just outside Chicago. They fit me better than any pair of sunglasses ever did or ever will, and they made me look awesome. For years, I constantly received compliments about them and was asked where I got them. I lost them after 5 long years and have disliked myself for it ever since. They were so no-name they didn't even have a brand name on them at all, so I have no idea who made them. I have no way about finding that gas station either. I've literally spent hundreds of dollars trying to find sunglasses that come close to that same perfect fit style, but I can't. Story 14. I randomly found a wedding videographer online and booked him for a very affordable rate for my wedding, assuming it wouldn't be very good quality. 2 weeks after the wedding, he emails me a high-quality, well-edited video. He had a drone I hadn't noticed because he was outside of the venue getting B-roll with it before I even started getting ready for the big day. I was floored, and now I recommend him to everyone who ever plans to get married, ever. Edit. He has definitely upped his prices since then. He did the videography for my wedding last summer, and rightfully so, because he does great work. Answer, we can't even watch our video. Keep in mind, this was 23 years ago. This friend of ours says, "Oh, I can video it, please?" We're like, okay, good. She was 2 feet tall, stayed in the pew the whole time, didn't get in the aisle, walk up the altar, anything. This was in the days when the video camera was one of those shoulder mount jobs. The guy in front of her was like 6 feet tall, so all we got was his shoulder, and at one time she let out an audible sigh and then slumped over to one side. Yay! Thanks for filming our wedding. You get what you pay for, I guess. It was free, so there you go. Story 15. I bought a turtle for $5 in Chinatown, and she's turning 3 this year. Edit to add a few things. Chinatown in Chicago, which is why her name is Al Capone. We call her Al. I am hoping she will outlive me because I can't imagine losing her. Don't worry, I study biology and environmental science. Going in a PhD program, she is treated like a queen. Story 16. I went to buy a used lawnmower and ended up buying their very old dog for $10. He was never allowed indoors, never rode in a car, went to a park, had a bath. We had a good 5 years of firsts. Best 10 I ever spent. Story 17. I bought a button-down shirt from the thrift store in the mid-90s that I still wear today. The shirt is obviously even older. It doesn't have much wear on it either. I think it made of rayon and something else. The brand is Kmart. They don't make them like they used to. Story 18. I bought a fake wood plastic mantle clock from Value City for like 10 because I needed something for my first apartment. I received a surprising number of compliments on it and was asked more than once if it was a family heirloom because it looked so old. It also lasted for like 10 years until some movers broke it. I was kind of proud of displaying that stupid cheap clock. Story 19. I was in a market in Shanghai, one of those ones that attract foreigners with knockoffs of nice brands, where you're supposed to haggle a bit with the store owner. Walking into an electronics store looking for a portable speaker. Negotiated the store owner down over the JBL speaker that's basically the size of a thermos. I think she originally wanted 200 RMB, and I think I got it for 125. Exchange rate was about 650 RMB, so like 21. The owner went out back, got a blank white box and an envelope. Inside the box was a blank speaker without decals. Decals were in the envelope. She then proceeded to put the decals on the speaker in front of me using tweezers for precision. This was my first time in China, so it really caught me off guard. Speaker is amazing, very loud, 6 to 8 hour battery life, and perfect for storing in a cup holder. I mostly use it on a golf course, which is perfect. Edit, spelling. Story 20. We bought an Ellis Island boat tour in New York from one of the guys on the streets. We were lead into a van and treated extremely well, so we weren't immediately sketched out too bad. We don't know New York, so we ended up driving 20 minutes through Manhattan by 3 men to an apparently abandoned sketchy dock with no one there. That's when we were convinced we were being scammed or sold into human trafficking. Gave us a post-it note with a number, and they said to go around the abandoned factory to the pier, and they were waiting for us. So we took our naive tourist asses around the building alone, expecting nothing, and they would just pull off and scam us. Sure enough, we turned the corner and there was a big boat with a bunch of people, and it was legit. We had an amazing tour and a lot of fun with free food and drinks. So overall, great decision, but in hindsight, we should have been takedown or at least scammed. Mobile edit. Yes, I rushed the story and misspelled a couple things. I'm leaving Nave, scammed, and all the others just for you guys. Story 21. I risked a huge box of magic cards. I spent around 200. It easily came out around 2K to 3K. This box was just a random pickup on the internet from Craigslist. Answer. My best purchase of magic cards was a store under new management. I went in with my 2 elementary school age sons as a mother that taught them to play. I asked to purchase the 2 large boxes in bulk, but because they had not had time to catalog their cards, they agreed on 10 cents a piece. At least 2 of the cards combined were valued at 80, and I bought hundreds. It's been some years since I have played, at least 3 or 4 years since I have purchased any. Wonder how much they are valued at, but don't have the heart to part from them. I started playing in '97 and have cards prior to that. Edit. My oldest is starting as a freshman in college next week, and my youngest is a freshman in high school. Story 22. A $27 dash cam. Got it off Amazon. Its shaper image included an SD card and was 27 bucks. I thought it was going to be a waste. It wasn't. I have it on whenever I drive. Turns on automatically. Records automatically. You can turn auto rewrite on or off. Has a high quality camera. Infrared LEDs for nighttime driving. The mounting mechanism works great. It's static and has never fallen. It's not the best in the world. It's not 4K recording, but it's 1080, high 120 FPS, and was 27 bucks. When some other can run up into the high hundreds. 1010 would buy again. 1010 would gift to someone. Actually works great and was 27 bucks. Story 23. My dog was a stray, adopted by a couple, but returned because he was too high energy, so his adoption fees were 50. Best 45 I've ever spent. Story 24. Third edit. It was Cenotes Casa Tortuga. Thank to you, Misty Gish, for suggesting that it might be this one. Final edit. I must say, after looking in Street View, it has changed a bit from when I went. Maybe if the signs had been at the entrance when I was there, it would looked more welcoming. Is to eat it. Formatted on mobile. I went to Mexico a few years back with my family, and it was our first time there. We only left the hotel once because it was so darn hot. On that day, after visiting an ancient temple, we decided to go to a cenote to swim and cool off. We arrived at the bus station, and this kind of sketchy taxi driver approached us and asked where we wanted to go. My father mentioned a very popular cenote, but the taxi driver recommended a quieter place and said he'd do it for half price, even though it was already dirt cheap. For some reason, my father agreed, which I thought was mad, so me and my family got in his taxi and drove off. We were riding down the freeway when he starts indicating left. I see no road where he's indicating. We turn off onto a dirt track and into the jungle. For about 10 minutes, we're getting deeper and deeper into the jungle until we reach a house. My father is told to get out and pay at this small shack, and the rest of us aren't allowed out of the car. 5 minutes pass, and by this time we were freaking out in the car. I didn't really feel like getting kidnapped or anything, but my father returns, and we continue into the jungle. Soon we reach a clearing with a few people smoking around a table and a couple with swimsuits on. Now I'm but more relaxed because there are other customers there. After getting changed, we have a short walk to this beautiful crystal clear cenote with overhangs and plants hanging down. It was amazing. We got out and thought money well spent, but we were led on a tour around 4 other cenotes where we swam under bats hanging in caves and learnt about the history of the cenote. To top it off, I got to jump off a 1050 drop into a pool where I could see the bottom about 20 feet below the surface. Best experience we had in Mexico. And I'd love to go back, but I don't think I've ever been so frightened as I was going down that deserted dirt road. Lots of people think they have been here or want to find it, so I wrote a description in a comment further down and will paste it here. I'd love to find out what it was called. I'll try to describe it as best I can to give you a better chance. It might not all be correct because it was a few years ago. A long, straightish dirt track led to a house on the right side and then continued to the main area. It was a sort of covered patio with lockers and changing room toilets, sort of behind it. The first cenote I went in was down some wooden steps that I think went straight into the water. It was a narrow and long cenote that was quite deep. It went through a cave with stalactites, stalagmites hanging from the ceiling. The second cenote was a horseshoe shape where you could jump in or walk down a ramp on the side, might have been steps. You could swim into a cave where there were a few bats in the roof. I think there was another one after that, but I can't remember. Then the last one was a long, thin lake river that went in a curve to the left. To get to this one, we had to walk along a dirt road for about 5 or 10 minutes. At the end of it was a larger pool area, and there were some steps leading up to a jump off the edge to the left that was about 10 feet, I think. Answer: I had a similar experience in Jamaica. Got off the cruise ship and driver approached us and took us to the local beach we had heard about. Only one other couple from the ship there, but then he told us he'd be back in 3 hours to check on us and take us to his favorite restaurant for dinner. To even assure us that he'd be back, he refused payment for the first part of the trip. Absolutely wonderful man. There are truly good people out there. It's a shame they're overshadowed by the scumbag scam artists. Story 25. Went to a garage sale, little girl was in charge, she's like 12. I don't know, shoot about turntables, but she has a set on a table. I ask how much. She tells me $20. I ask her if they work. She tells me she has no idea. Her dad got new ones and wants to get rid of these. I wait for dad. She tells me he's sleeping. She says, dude, just take them. I'm like, no 20 can't be right, maybe 200. She looks at me like I'm stupid. Fine, he'll take them. I drive straight to a pawn shop and see what I can get for them, or if they even work. They fudge work. Dude looks up prices and comes back with a $1,200 offer. Best $20 I ever spent. Edit. To clarify, this happened in one of the nicest neighborhoods in Plano, TX. I don't remember the brand. This happened like 7 years ago. Story 26. Fugly, sad, misshapen potted plants from the grocery store. They just need some love, and it's so fun to see them grow. Story 27. I bought this shirt from a market for $5. Fits so darn well I started using it as my main shirt. Story 28. Knockoff North Face hiking shoes in Vietnam. Cost me $20. Used and abused and still going strong. Edit. This blew up and my inbox is a mess. For everyone asking about getting cheap shoes ECT, there's a whole subreddit dedicated to that fashion reps. Answer: for all we know, they might have come from the exact same factory. I think there's a whole subreddit dedicated to finding off brand products that are basically the exact same product as the brand one on AliExpress and other such sites, but I don't remember the name. Edit. As many of you pointed out, thanks, I was thinking of our fashion reps. Unfortunately, it's not exactly what I said above, but there's loads of good stuff there. Story 29. Bought some Britney Spears tickets in a back alley near the Phillips Arena downtown Atlanta from this sketch jerk guy. Our dumbasses were all excited BC. It was a great deal for the seating. Keep in mind, this is when tickets are now printed from home, and they're huge to scan. The pair that we bought were the OG Ticketmaster tickets. You know, the tiny pair that you had to wait at FYE in the mall for. Get in line and go through the main first door. They don't scan. Fudge. We knew we were scammed immediately. Then they physically examine our tickets and say, I don't know why these aren't scanning, but your seats are that way. Walk all the way down to our numbered section, and there's one guy sitting in a chair by this massive wall with a single door to walk through. Homeboy physically examined our ghetto tickets. He's like, never seen these before. But he said, this way, please. And I be darned, we are seated in the section where local business buy the suites and shoot for their employees. Food and adult beverage was free. We had phenomenal seats and got a free shirt and program. I still can't believe it happened. Story 30. Not my purchase, but still one of the best. My brother gifted me a Snuggie one year for Christmas. I had painstaking tracked down a bootleg album he wanted, and he got me a buy one, get one free Snuggie. I didn't speak to him for weeks. I have routinely used that darn Snuggie for every camping trip I've been on over the last 7 years. And I will tell you, it has become the most useful gift I've ever gotten. Story 31. I bought official PlayStation wireless headphones for $20 a few years ago. They usually cost about $70 brand new. I thought it was a sketchy sell, but nope, they are fine, and I still use them to this day. Story 32. I got an adjustable phone mount at the dollar store when I had an iPhone 4. Still use the same one with my iPhone X. Story 33. 17. Target brand boat shoes. I bought them about 6 years ago and just wore them randomly for things like going to the grocery store or running down to my car. Then I found they were great practice shoes for disc golf. They lasted 1.5 years of planting and twisting on concrete before they finally folded. Went back, they've been discontinued for years. Story 34. Costco fluffy flannels. It feels like a chinchilla is hugging you, and I've had mine for 3 years with no signs of wearing down despite almost daily use in the Northeast winters. Story 35. Flight cargo adult worker for discounted tickets. I flew to Shanghai for New York for about $200 total on JAL business class. In return, I had to sign to take responsibility for cargo on the flight. I saw the cargo on the loading dock. It was a pallet covered in a camouflage tarp. I received my tickets in person upon arrival at JFK. I'm pretty sure I helped traffic substances or weapons across borders. I can't remember the name of the company. Also, I don't think it exists anymore because it was sketchy as fudge. Edit, they were called Air Courier. I found an article about it in case you think I was bullshitting. I did this before 9/11. High times. Story 36. This bamboo back scratcher my wife got me for $3 like 15 years ago. It is right here next to me. I use it to scratch my back, gesticulate while I pontificate, fend off my cats, harass my cats, and use as a tuning fork to make strange noises to annoy my wife. I joke that in the event of a house fire, this back scratcher is the only thing besides my wife and cats that I'd take with me. It's not a joke though. I really would go for it first. Story 37. December 2012. Being out of Chicago, I bought a concert ticket through Craigslist out of Los Angeles for a one-night jazz concert hosted by Tenacious D. After I paid through PayPal, the guy says he'd contact the venue to confirm the transfer. I bought my plane ticket and hotel room on good faith that this would work. I fly down the night before, get to Sunset Blood, and get my room. The day of, I wait from 12 p.m. to 4 outside the venue by myself. I see at some point people loading equipment in the venue. I walk in through the side door, sit down at a random table for a bit, and end up talking with the production manager for the duo for a bit. I was told by him that hanging out was okay, but I'd be kicked out at 6 before rehearsal. 6 p.m. rolls around and I exit to get back in line. At this point, I'm now at the back of a 20-person line. An old lady proceeds to walk up to wait in line behind me. She is definitely not the age demographic for a Tenacious D concert. She proceeds to talk with me. What time does the venue open? I'm supposed to be inside already. I tell her 8 p.m. Being that we're at a jazz club, I think maybe she's here for the wrong show. I ask her who she's here to see tonight. She says my son and daughter are playing here tonight. I respond, who's your son and daughter? Oh, my daughter, can't remember, and my son Jack. Oh, let's get you inside. She holds my shoulder with one hand, cane in the other, and I bring her to the front door and knock real hard. The bouncer opens the door. I say, I'm here with Jack's mom and need to get her inside. Second booth on the right. We walk in. I get halfway to her assigned, and an older gentleman meets me halfway and takes her the rest of the way to her seat. He comes back to me, thanks me, and talks with me for another 20 minutes while rehearsal's going in. Turns out it's JB's stepdad. Rehearsal wraps up, and he asks me if I want to meet his stepson. Yeah, I do. To wrap up my story, I meet Jables, Rage Cage, Cones, electric guitarist, Spike, bass, and Brooks, drummer. They all signed my vinyl collection. OG, POD, Rod F, Jazz, and Brutal Legend vinyl sleeve. And I got pictures with all my heroes. I then end up sitting front row to the greatest jazz concert ever, sitting next to Billy Zane, the evil bald guy from the Titanic movie. TBH, I don't even know if my Craigslist ticket purchase was legit or real, but I still got to see the show, meet my heroes face to face, and have this epic story to tell. Edit, here's a couple photos I could find right away. Story 38. Melamine sponges from China. I dislike having to buy a small pack of Mr. Clean magic erasers often, so tried to find them in bulk. I call them Mr. Way's magic eraser because it was from a Mr. Way. Story 39. One of those square window-sized box fans. technically wasn't a purchase. I found it outside the dumpster of my junior year college apartment back in 2008. I'm a fan of airflow and white noise, so that fan ran 24 hours a day for nearly 11 years outside of when I was away on vacations and for brief periods in winter, most of that on the lowest setting, but I mean, there were long stretches of literally months where it wasn't turned off. Died earlier this year when I can only assume some critical component burned out. I'll miss you, completely free thing that provided me a decade of a light breeze and air circulation. X200B, edit. Thank you for the gold, internet stranger. Truly a silver lining for these dark and less air circulation times. Answer, I've got a box fan about as old as me, so mid-40s, that's still running strong. I did notice the power cord was getting to be a bit sketchy, and I'm thinking about trying to replace it. Edit. Thank you everyone for your replies. I will take a look at it this weekend and take a trip to Home Depot. I've replaced power cords on lamps before, so this can't be all that different. I also have people I can call if I somehow get in over my head, but seems to be a straightforward project. The box fan, for those who would like to know what it looks like. My earliest memories of it would be from 1976 or 1977, and I know my parents bought it before I was born. Growing up, it was one of the first signs of summer when it came out, and sadly the first sign of autumn when it was put away. Story 40. I bought a 2001 Subaru Forester with 250,000 miles for $2K, and that lil shitbox has yet to ever let me down for the past 2 years. Edit, pic of my trusty old shitbox. I just drove it back and forth from LA to Phoenix with no problems other than a small oil leak. I do all my own maintenance on it, and I plan on replacing its engine in the next couple of months due to the fact that a new EJ2H1 isn't too much money. Story 41. 2 years ago, I bought a 1991 Ford F450 flatbed wrecker, commonly known as a rollback, for $4,000 from a group of meth addicts in the deep south of Texas. The truck was easily worth $15,000. I was sincerely worried on the way there that I would just end up getting mugged. Fortunately for me, everything turned up spades. There's no way in hell, as poor as I was back then, that I could ever hope to afford a new rollback wrecker. I now own a small auto transport business in Southern California, and I still drive that same rollback wrecker to this day. I'm so glad that I gathered up my courage and did the deal because it truly catapulted my life into a new beginning. I was able to move out of my 30-foot travel trailer and into a no-bullshit, concrete foundation, brick-and-mortar house. Thank you so much, little rollback, for being the most reliable and best money-making truck I've ever had. Story 42. Went camping and forgot knives for food prep. Went to local grocery store and bought package of 3 cheap, no-name plastic handle paring knives, different sizes, best knives in the history of the planet. They are still my main knives years later. Answer, the best BBQ I have ever owned was a 20 Walmart grill that my dad bought for camping. Both him and I have searched for this particular type of BBQ since then, and we cannot find it. Must have been a limited run with poor sales. It was a charcoal grill, and the circular part that held the coals spun up and down along the central post. Most precise temperature control I've ever had while grilling. When my dad moved out following the divorce, he let me keep it. Then one of college roommates threw it out because he didn't like it or something. Edit, a sketch was requested, so a terrible sketch was made. The central pole is threaded. You spin the coal catch to adjust the height. The grill grating sits in the central pole, and you could remove it to toss on the charcoal. This is about the best I can do with my memo app, Edit V2.0. U-Tornado Radar found it. Story 43. Financed a $4,000 mattress from a furniture store, and it wasn't very comfortable, plus serious buyer's remorse. Returned it within 30 days for a full refund and decided to take chance on a $400 mattress on Amazon. One of the best purchases I ever made. Super comfortable and far cheaper than equivalent store mattresses. Story 44. Spent $11 for a pair of 10 fat phone charger cords on Amazon. I figured as often as I had to replace them, 11 wasn't bad for 2. 3 years later, and I'm still using the first one. Story 45. My puppy. We bought him from some sketchy dude on the southwest side of San Antonio, and he was in rough shape. But now he's almost 8 months old and a whopping 92 pounds of muscle and loose skin. The vet said we had a very nice horse. Story 46. Searched around for a vasectomy reversal. Everything looked to be $15,000 to $20,000. Finally found a guy in Rhode Island for less than $3,000. This guy was along in an office in a strip mall. Took cash only, which was very sketchy to me. I was afraid I'd come to in a bathtub full of ice. That didn't happen, but even after the procedure, I was certain it didn't work, and maybe the guy was a quack or scam. This was over 3 years ago, and my wife and I could not get pregnant for some reason. I figured I knew the reason. Well, I was wrong. Turns out, it was her the whole time. and my surgery worked perfectly. After a few visits to a fertility clinic, we are now 26 weeks pregnant with a baby boy due in November. Definitely a sketchy cheap buy that ended up being one of my best purchases. Story 47. Cheap is a relative term. In the town where I live, there's a slightly sketchy area. It's not bad, but it's not nice either. There's a pub around the corner, and all the buildings are dirty. There are some council flats nearby, and then there's my flat. An elderly lady had lived in it before, and she had moved into a nursing home. The flat went up for sale. Few came to the viewings, and of the people who did, nobody wanted to show at the TLC that it sorely needed. It was built in the 1970s and has been refurbished once in the early 90s. Done details are still original, like the fuse box, which sometimes has fireworks inside it. The floors were covered in an awful carpet the color of a rotting peach, and the windows were dirty and covered with greasy blinds. It was a piece of work. I got it for cheap, way below my budget, and I spent several weeks doing it up on evenings and weekends. I ripped down grimy old wallpaper and tore up the carpet. I painted the walls and got rid of the blinds. I contracted someone to do the bathroom and floors for me. Now it's a mid-century modern-type flat with a touch of Scandinavian minimalism. It was a sketchy cheap, but definitely my best buy to date. TLDR. TLC turns sketchy to great. Story 48. A cat toy that is literally a feather on the end of a stick. It was only $1. My cat gets hours of entertainment from it. Edit. Cat tax. Edit X2. The phone number on the tag is for the vet office. I'm not from Killeen, but thanks to everyone who said something. Edit X3. Okay, it wasn't a sketchy purchase. I get it. Story 49. I bought plane tickets from Pittsburgh to Dublin, Ireland from a sketchy site. It involved 3 layovers and 2 airlines. The company had a 1-2-star review on every website I went to and didn't find a single positive review, but I bought the ticket anyway. After 20 hours, 4 flights, and a really sketchy layover in Portugal, I flew across the Atlantic with no problem for 200. Story 50. 15 years ago, I was getting deployed for the first time. I wanted a backpack as a carry-on, but it had to be solid black. Went to a few places, ended up at Male Body Part Sporting Goods. I found exactly one bag that was solid black and it was perfect, but it didn't have a tag. Went to the register, and the guy spent 10 minutes with 2 managers trying to figure out which bag it was so they would ring it up. They finally asked me, "How much is it worth to you?" I replied that I needed it to deploy in the morning, so I'd pay whatever they wanted. They charged me 10. It's a Kryptonics backpack that is no longer made. I've taken it on 4 deployments, 3 TDYs, all over the country, and it made it through my BS and MS degrees. I'm now using it as I pursue my PhD. It's a little ragged, but I love this darn bag. Story 51. Pair of 11 ankle boots from Walmart. They actually fit, which is amazing in itself. I wear around a 10.5 111 WW in women's shoes. They were so comfy, looked cute with any and all pants, and lasted for several years. Still miss those darn boots years later. Story 52. I bought a jailbroken Fire Stick last year for $100. 12-ish months later, I've cut out my DirecTV and strictly use the Fire Stick. That thing has saved me close to 1,000 so far. Answer, a good buy, but just as an FYI, you don't need to jailbreak a Fire Stick. It's literally just a tick box in the settings to allow you to install whatever apps you want. Most people just want Kodi and some basic Kodi add-ons, all of which are free. For anyone thinking of doing this, save yourself some cash and do a little research. Google install Kodi on a Fire Stick. Story 53. $1,300 for a salvage title. 22-year-old Honda motorcycle. Owned it for 10 years, and all I ever had to do to it was tires, brakes, oil changes, scheduled maintenance. Never had an issue with that wonderful bike. Story 54. Bought a random guy a beer at a dive bar. 7 years later, and we're married with a kid. Pretty solid investment. Story 55. A body pillow. When I had major abdominal surgery, finding a sleeping position was hard. This really helped as it took the pressure off my front. Story 56. Just a couple weeks ago, I saw a flat-screen TV for $40 at a thrift shop. Or it might have been a computer monitor, I'm not sure. From corner to corner, it's about as long as my elbow to my fingertips. It had a PC input, all the video inputs, 2 HDMI inputs, some USB inputs, cable input, the whole works. So immediately I wasn't sure if it was too good to be true. It turned on and all the buttons worked, but there was no remote. Also, I was told there was no returns, only exchanges. Well, I went ahead and bought it anyway, and it works like a dream. I finally have something I can bring with me when I make my next move. I can change the volume and input with the side buttons, so that's basically all I need. One day, I might get a universal remote so I can change the brightness, but I'm basically set. Story 57. Probably about 15 years ago, I bought a Wichita State University baseball t-shirt at a thrift store. No reason, no affiliation. Smash cut to now, I only ever wear a Wichita State t-shirt to bed. Never as an actual shirt, just to sleep in. 15 years and running. Story 58. A pack of 2 pairs of earbuds from Amazon. They were the best I've ever used. One lasted me the whole school year. The others I gave to a friend. Story 59. I broke my key off in my ignition years ago. Only the metal snapped, the battery-operated part was fine. I called a few places. I live in a large city, and everyone told me to go to the dealership. The dealership said I'd have to get my car towed to them, and they'd make a complete new one for about $500. $500 plus whatever the tow was? I was so stressed, and one of my coworkers heard about what was going on and said he knew a guy that could fix it for $50. I called the guy, and he had me meet him on a less than desirable side of town. I pulled into a shady jerk driveway that met a lock and get. It was the backside of a warehouse or something. The guy drove up on the other side of the gate in an old van. I immediately got super nervous but walked up to the fence to meet him. He asked for the cast and broken key, so I handed it to him through the fence. He took it to his van for about 15 minutes and brought it back fixed and ready to use. It was the shadiest transaction I've ever made, but totally worked out and was cheap. Story 60. I am late to the party, but in 2006-ish, I purchased a home that was never gutted after Hurricane Katrina. Had lots of water in it for way too long and about 2 feet of muck. But the house only cost me $16K. I put $50K in parts into it and did 90 of the work myself. After 12 months, I rented it for $1,800 a month. After a few years, sold it for a bit over $300,000. Was a lot of fun for 22-year-old me. Story 61. A hamster, $30. I bought him on a whim when I was in a dark place and fell in love instantly. It only took a few hours and he was accepting food from my hand. By the 3rd day, he sat on my hand for the first time. When I entered the room, he'd wake up, wobble out of his hut, and hop up and down the terrarium's glass front until I interacted with him. He loved my cats as well. When they sat around or on top of his terrarium, he'd hop up and down and stand against the glass to check them out. Whenever I changed his environment, he ran around and checked out every nook. He really loved toilet paper rolls in the flower pot that I would fill with a soft plant that he'd nibble on. My dwarf hamster, Carl the Great, lived for 2.5 years and spread love wherever he hopped and wobbled. Story 62. Maybe not cheap in the traditional sense, but I found my dream crate and barrel sectional on Craigslist that retails for $3,500, selling for $800. I had literally been looking at the same exact couch in the store the day before when I decided to check Craigslist. Was a 50-50 chance on getting an incredible deal or potentially getting violation and/or takedown. But I got lucky. Apparently the guy has a connect on staging furniture that is minimally damaged and can't be used any longer, so he has a warehouse full of expensive designer furniture. Story 63. Went to a local store that was going out of business and closing shop forever the next day, called American Appliance. Salesman was trying to sell me anything and everything. They had a set of $2,300 speakers that looked amazing, but I knew shoot about speakers. I was 16 or 17 and this was before smartphones. He kept pushing to get me to buy them for $800, told him I can't. I'm young, I have bills, and I'm broke. He asked how much I had on me, and for some reason, I actually answered $200. He said sold. So I said fudge it and bought them. Still have them nearly 14 years later and in perfect condition. They were part of my entertainment system for a long time. Now they're in my office. When I got home and looked them up on the internet, they were selling for $1,300 each. I got 2 for $100 a piece. Probably the luckiest buy I ever made. Story 64. Kerbal Space Program. Looked like throwaway game that would get me a few hours of entertainment for like 5 back in 2012. Over 3,000 hours later, I can say that's the best 5 I've ever spent. Story 65. Went to my local pawn type shop, but more depressing. Saw a nice set of Polk floor speakers with a $185 price tag, figured it was per speaker and moved on. Got halfway home, like 10 minutes of driving, and something told me to go back. Turned around, checked the listing for the same speakers at Best Buy, $399 each. On sale? March into the store and ask to listen to the speakers. They're perfect. We spend a good 10 minutes hitting up all the genres and test tracks. Nothing wrong. They ring up the set, $185 tax. That was 2 years ago and I'm still chuffed. Story 66. A tour guide approached us outside the Vatican offering the best discounted Vatican tours. This guy was the definition of sketch. But we were like, oh, what the hell, when in Rome? Pun intended. It was indeed a discounted tour and turned out to be a highlight of our trip to Rome. Tour guide was awesome and we skipped all the lines to get right in. Story 67. Bought 20 Army cargo pants from the military surplus store. Pros: same material and double knit as Carhartts that were twice the ones. Super rugged and don't care about stains. Work pants. Plus, they're camo. Roomy, comfortable, designed to fit you even if they're not exactly your size. More storage space than your mom's Kia. Made in Warsaw, not by oppressive labor overseas. Plus, support locally owned shop. Cons: wife won't be seen in public with me wearing them. Story 68. Any Harbor Freight tool. If used properly, at minimum, you get your money's worth. At best, your 20 torque wrench has earned you a few $1,000s worth of work-save repair bills by doing your own work. Story 69. This summer, we bought an inflatable above-ground pool off Amazon. It was my MIL's choice, an impulse buy for $300. I was super pessimistic about it, as was everyone else, family of 7. We've spent nearly every day in that pool having fun as a family. I've never really gotten such family-wide value out of something like that. Story 70. I got this Kiwi brand knife, made in Thailand, of course, for like $6. It was over 10 years ago when I lived in Melbourne, and that baby can still be sharpened into a razor. It's the best freaking knife ever. You could cut silk with this thing. It's hacked through PVC, dismantled so many chickens, turned onions into confetti on the reg, and still it slices a tomato like it's a goddarn katana. Story 70 now. Sitting in a drive-thru, dude comes up to me from the care, asks me if I want to buy his cousin's CD. His cousin's rap group recorded it. You fudge it $5. We turns out to be one of my favorite albums. Not top 3, but it would be in the top 25 for sure. Story 72. Don't know if this counts, as the product was expensive, but hey-ho, it's an interesting story, y'all. Me and a friend were chilling in a mall when one of those beauty salesmen approached us. His salesmanship was so relentless, me and my friend both ended up buying the bare minimum each, so he could leave us alone. He kept lowering the price, and we ended up both spending 48 GBP, which is a lot of money for a skincare product. We still chalk it up to us being stoned and not firm enough with our answer. Anyways, a month goes by and I remember the mistake and decide to Google the product. Turned out a lot of old rich people really liked its apparent anti-aging properties and was listed on eBay for around double the price at its cheapest. I quickly listed at the going price, and it's bought for a whopping $15, including the postage. Funnily enough, my friend had decided to open his bottle the second we got back from the mall to make the most of his purchase. He flipped when I told him the going price, and even more so when I sold mine. Story 73. An elbow buddy. We bought a new car, which we loved, but after a few weeks, my hubby was almost in tears because the armrest on the driver's left side was so uncomfortable, and he felt he had made a terrible mistake in buying a car that aggravated his arm and hand pain. I found an elbow buddy on Amazon for around £20. That solved the problem. It's a foam cushion with an adhesive that vastly improved the new car. Still going strong after 4 years. Story 74. This will never see the light of day, but 25 years ago, I bought this cool long-sleeve tie-dye t-shirt at a thrift store for $0.25. I still have it and finally just downgraded it to an around-the-house shirt because of the holes around his collar. Story 75. One of the proudest finds in my studio, a 2000 heat press I found at a thrift store for $40. I just about fainted when I came across it. Thought for sure the price tag was meant to read $400. Still a good price. That chute weighs like 100 and was a meanie to move, but there were 3 other people eyeing it, so I wasn't about to just walk away because of the weight. That press has paid for itself many times over in the last 2 years since I got it. Love that thing. That store did not know what they had. Story 76. A knife block I found at the thrift store had about 16 knives. All of them were in perfect condition and all were J.A. Henkel's. Purchased for $10. This was back in the 9th grade when I took up cooking and still have all the knives in perfect condition. They are my go-to for my kitchen. Story 77. What's with this thread? It's got silver, 300 comments, and like 80 points. Plus many of the comments are duplicated. This is weird. Story 78. Got a quote for a new central air conditioning unit from a dude on Craigslist, installed for less than $13. The price I was quoted by 2 other companies. Thought it was pretty sketchy. He told me spent 30 years in the industry building up and running a popular HVAC company, which he sold for a few $1,000,000. He's bored in retirement, so he started a new company that's just him. He gave me a list of references with about 30 people on it, and I called a few of them. He got glowing reviews from the people I talked to. So I said, okay, he still knows people in the industry and gets brand new units that were damaged in shipping. Still covered by warranty, but for a fraction of the price. Units that actually fell off a truck. My unit has some scratches and the logo badge fell off, but that's all that's wrong with it. He installed it a couple years ago and it's worked great since. And now my name is on his reference list, and occasionally someone calls and I give him a glowing review. Story 79. Bought some no-name Chinese brand earbuds for $5 and waited 3 months for it to get shipped from China to America, then from America to Europe. A good friend of mine swore by these earbuds, and you could only buy direct from the supplier. As it wasn't expensive, I decided to see for myself. Ordered them, forgot about it, they arrived 3 months later. When I opened the package, it was just hard plastic earbuds in a little plastic pouch and some bubble wrap, as well as a packing slip. My expectations were low to say the least. I immediately put them into my phone and played Hotel California. And my God, they were better than 5. My mouth was wide open, jaw to the floor. I had to make sure my ears were not deceiving me. Plugged it into my dad's prosumer-grade DAC and played the smoothest rendition of Back in Black I've heard to date. These things were stupidly shaped and hurt like hell in my ears, but they were beating out full-blown 110 studio monitor headphones. The company that made them may be called like Monk or something, but to save my life, I can't find any mention of them anywhere online. These earbuds come with me everywhere, and I even accidentally put them through the washer, still working fine. Perhaps my low expectations come into play, or perhaps products just cost a lot less to produce than I'm expecting, but I'm still gobsmacked by the quality of those tiny buds. Refuse to purchase a phone without a 3.5mm because of those things. Story 80. Birth control pills from an online international pharmacy. I know that there are some Redditors that will make blissfully unaware recommendations, but there are many, many women who do not have easy access in the U.S. When I lived in SC, Planned Parenthood was a 2-HR drive, and county health services meant a 3-month wait for an appointment. If you could wait 3 months the day of your appointment, you would still wait hours to see the doctor. This doctor would perform a brutal and cold, stabby pap smear. This would then be followed by bullying. He would not prescribe BC pills, but would try to coerce women into Depo-Provera or Norplant. I am so happy that I took a chance on the 3-a-month pills that Indian Pharmacy sent me. They worked just fine for the 15 years I lacked access. Story 81. I bought a really cheap wallet phone case from Wish because I've had my wallet stolen twice, so I decided to fully embrace my grandmotherly qualities. I'm 21. And about 2 weeks into owning it, I noticed my phone in the actual case itself was starting to detach from the wallet part. And I was like, oh great, this is what I get for cheap, and it turns out it's meant to come apart. My phone case is a magnet. Now I just stick it to anything metal and take photos or watch TV. Sticking it to my washer to watch Netflix has been a game changer. I highly recommend getting a magnetic phone case. Edit, just adding that the magnet does not mess with my phone at all. I've had this phone case for a while now, and my phone is fine. Edit 2, I have an iPhone XR, which is made out of glass, so that's possibly why it doesn't mess with my phone. Story 82. When I was about 10 years old, my parents and I were in our backyard clearing out a ton of weeds that had gotten out of hand. I had trouble focusing because our next-door neighbor had this really adorable puppy, and all I wanted to do was play with him. We found out that they were actually going to take him to an animal shelter because their son was not taking care of him like he promised. I decided to ask my parents if maybe we could get him instead. I was an only child and never really have anyone to play with unless a friend would come over, and the thought of having a puppy to play with whenever I wanted to was great. My parents agreed, and our neighbors offered to sell him to us for $20, which is really cheap for a dog when you think about it. I had that saved up and immediately agreed and promised I'd care for him and love him forever. So he became my puppy, my brother, and after a few days of debating, I named him Snoopy. Snoopy became my closest friend. He made me laugh, played with me, and would just hang out and watch TV with me. He was always there for me, especially through some tough times in my life where I was extremely self-destructive. He saved me from myself. He was there at my side through tough breakups where all I ever wanted to do was lay in bed. He was an amazing friend. He was there to see me graduate 8th grade, high school, and college. I hoped he would be there on the day I got married and maybe be around for when I had kids. But unfortunately, as much as we wish for things, sometimes they don't happen. This is the first picture I have of us together, and this is the last. He died 4 years ago after being by my side for almost 17 years. That little ball of fur in the first picture made such a huge impact on my life, bringing me years of happiness, friendship, and love. Definitely the best cheap purchase I have ever made. Story 83. I'd buy a Sketchy repeated comments filter about now. Edit, deleted a dupe. Day later, this post still shows up as phantom weirdness in my post history. It has no date. Story 84. I built my own mattress. I was online shopping and stumbled upon several mattress-in-a-box companies such as Purple or Casper. I noticed that they consistently had diagrams on their websites that showcased the different layers of foam they use to construct their mattresses. I simply went to a foam wholesaler, and in the dimensions of a queen mattress, I ordered different types of foam: standard, soft, memory, eggshell, in varying thicknesses. I stacked them all up on top of one another and have slept like a baby for the last 2 years. It cost me $300 as opposed to a similar mattress from an online site that would have cost hundreds more. Story 85. A cheap bargain bin dollar store condom. It didn't work, but now I have the most beautiful 3-year-old daughter. Story 86. The free cat I found on Craigslist. He's been my best friend for a year and a half and is the reason I'm alive. Drove 45 minutes away to a strange individual's home in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where I'd be without him. Story 87. Bought a cheap jerk old walking stick when I was 12 because I'm stupid. 10 years later, a burglar breaks into my house and I beat him with that same stick. He runs away. It still guards my home to this day. Story 88. Walked into a pet store to lift my spirits as my grandmother was undergoing open heart surgery. Saw a Jack Russell pup that was bigger than the rest of the pups in his pen. Decided to visit with the pup in a private room. Then he curled up in my lap and started coughing. At that point, I felt like I couldn't leave him there, but I didn't know it yet. So I asked the worker about him. Turns out he was 75 off because he was left over from another litter. Then they took off another 10 because I pointed out that he was sick. Impulsively, I bought him on the spot. I was a college student with no place of my own, and I hid him from my parents in my car and my job for 3 days. Finally, I broke down and cried and confessed to my mom. She reluctantly said yes, he could stay, and this sick little pup immediately did 7 victory laps around my parents' house. I nursed him back to his energetic, crazy, spunky self. Long story short, 16 years later, after graduating with 3 degrees, marriage, kids, and the losses of my grandmother and dad, he has been with me through it all. He was recently diagnosed with cancer, so our days are now numbered. But my discount dog will always be my best purchase ever. Story 89. My house. It used to be a grow-op, and when I bought it, it was all fudge up from the lights and ventilation system, etc. It was a take-it-as-it-is type of deal. I took it and fixed it up, and it's slowly becoming my dream home. There's no way I'd be able to afford a house this size otherwise. Story 90. This fall, I bought a 2014 Honda Accord with under 80K miles for $9,000 from a guy on Craigslist. His English wasn't the best, and we barely looked over the car before buying it since it was starting to snow, and we wanted to get home. The guy bought it from an insurance company because it had been totaled. I did have to get an alignment, 100, but other than that, it's been perfect. Story 91. I was lured into a ghetto housing area by the prospect of a 40 Surface Pro 2017. People approached me with weapons, and I was like, God, I'm going to die. Then a man walked between them and said, "Are you the buyer?" I said yes, and I paid it for the computer, and he said, "Sorry, they thought you were here to harm me." I then left, and now I'm here. Story 92. I got a blanket as a gift from a grandparent when I was 14. It was clearly an afterthought gift they found in Walmart. My sister got her version of the same and ended up tossing it after a while. However, for me, it keeps me the perfect amount of warm while being breathable and ridiculously soft. I have no idea what it is made of, but it went with me when I graduated and left the house, covered me when I was doing 6 years in the U.S. Air Force, kept me warm on those cold desert nights when I deployed, kept my Tootsies toasty when I studied through my bachelor's degree, was on my bed the night of my wedding, covered me and my kids when they jumped into bed with daddy, and will be keeping me warm tonight. Coming up on 40, and yes, I have a blankie. Story 93. Saw an Instagram ad for a battery-powered hairbrush that, when powered on, emits negative ions into your hair to balance the negative positive ions and instantly defrizz your hair. I was skeptical at first because if something so useful and miraculous had been invented, why was I only just now learning about it via an Instagram ad? The ads in the website didn't look super professional either. I also couldn't find too many external reviews for it, which felt weird. But I decided on a whim to order it anyway, not expecting it to work very well. But after using it once, I decided there was no going back to regular hairbrushes. It's such a game changer. People even notice that my hair is smoother and silkier. It fudge works, and I thought I was just throwing my money away at a gimmicky piece of plastic that wouldn't do anything. But it really does make a huge difference. I feel like a shill, but I'm really just so enthusiastic because it was an amazing purchase. If anyone is wondering where to buy, this is it. Story 94. Cat tax. My little fluffy girl. I saw her on a free cat poster at my vet's office. She was given to the owner as a present from his ex-wife. She's a purebred Himalayan and was not spayed because she was meant to be used for breeding. The owner divorced his ex-wife and said that his new girlfriend was allergic. I was on the fence about getting her, but then I got tipsy at a party and figured I had room enough for one more cat. I texted the guy and got a friend to drive me over. He drove. Don't drive tipsy. Kids. This sketchy jerk dude handed her over to me in a carrier with no questions asked. I could have wanted to breed her or feed her to snakes for all that he knew. He never asked for ID. Worse, he had named her after a Twilight character. I brought her home and spayed her and named her Bell Bell. I was still tipsy, so sue me. She's been with me for 7 years. No breeding for this fluffy girl. She follows me around and insists on sitting on my lap when I watch TV. Little shoot cost me in vet bills, but that's another story. Story 95. About a year ago, a used game store near me was selling surprise boxes of old console for $20. They were not guaranteed to work or have all their parts, cords, or controllers. And you were not allowed to pick up the box till you bought it. All sales final. Took my chances and got a fully working Halo Edition Xbox with all cords and controllers and had a few games with it. If I remember right, it had Halo 1 and 2 as well as Fusion Frenzy and Forza. I wanted the Halo version when it came out, but didn't have the money at the time, so was very excited that I finally got it and was able to add it to my collection, Halo and Gaming Collection. Story 96. I once had a guy come to my door carrying a duffel bag. He looked like he hadn't showered in a week, and he immediately went into a spiel about the products he was selling. At first, I thought it was for charity, but the more I listened, the more I realized that he was homeless and trying his best to make an honest living selling magazine order stuff, think Sky Mall, door to door. So I listened to his whole pitch, and I bought the least expensive item, which was this weird foam sponge thing covered in chamois-like material, and darn if I didn't use the fudge out of that thing. It was the sole cleaning product used in my bathroom for about 4 years until it finally fell apart. I sincerely hope that that guy turned his life around and he's living comfortably now because he really did me a solid. Story 97. A 1985 T-top Firebird. It was advertised for $700, which piqued my curiosity. I went to the dude's house and it was right out front. This thing was mint, not a hint of rust. Only thing missing was the stereo, which raised a red flag for me. Was this thing stolen? I talked to the guy. He said he had got the engine rebuilt by a friend, backyard mechanic, but he had messed something up and it wasn't running right. I said so. No rust. Tops look brand new. Interior is a beautiful red, 5-speed, and holy shoot, there is a Firebird sandblasted in gorgeous art form on the back window. All that's wrong is a goofy motor for $700. If it doesn't start, I'll give you $500. I'll take it. Wrote up the paperwork. I checked the VIN. It all matched up and was clean. Got it home and took me 20 minutes to find the problem. ECM wasn't grounded properly. Fixed it for $2, started it up, ran like a top. Sometimes you get lucky. Story 98. A 2-foot fart and foam cube with a soft fabric cover. It's a chair, a table, a footrest, padding when I was moving, all sorts of stuff. It was $3. I love my foam cube. Story 99. Not my purchase and not the best, but still awesome. My sister bought this sus jerk eyelash curler kit. You put some chemicals on it like they do in the salons, and it keeps your lashes curled for like 4-6 weeks. She got it for $10 on Amazon, and the shoot worked. If you go to a salon, they charge at least $50. Story 100. Investment opportunity. I was 13 at the time, very naive internet-wise, and my parents were dangerously liberal with their kids holding credit card information, was surfing on a weird site and saw a link that promised a $600 payment to equal out to a $24,000 payment in a month. Me being a naive little shoot put the credit card info in it to an anonymous site that I don't remember. Parents were livid. Tried for hours to get money back. No luck. Credit card company wouldn't refund it because it was authorized by Cage Force NCO or some weird shoot. Anyway, a few months later, my parents saw a transaction of $24,000 added to their account. Feel free to make theories. Story 101. I ordered some Pokemon cards from eBay, ended up getting a typo card, and a first edition Illustrator Pikachu card. Went to my local pawn shop to get them checked, and they are both 100 authentic. Story 102. After a divorce, I had no washing machine or dryer. In desperation, I went to Sears Scratch and Dent, got a washer and dryer for $300, had them for 17 years and still running very well. Story 103. Pitbull from a shelter for $75. Figured, if she acts up, I can take her back. She's the sweetest thing on earth, and I wouldn't trade her for the world. Story 104. Bought a box of crap at a yard sale for 10. One of the items in it was an old Simpson multimeter in original box, with original manuals. Dusty as hell, and unfortunately test leads were not in one piece. But the rest of it, after you wiped off the dust, you probably couldn't tell that it hadn't just come off the assembly line. Turns out it was a specific antique my dad had been looking for a couple decades, and I came across one by accident, in mint condition no less. Story 105. Wedding rings from Amazon, LOL. We were stressed out and tired of spending money on wedding shoot, and we wanted to save some for the honeymoon. $40 later, and he got a wood inlaid tungsten, while I got a crystal inlaid rose gold titanium. We get compliments on them all the time and giggle to ourselves. My engagement ring is real and I cherish it, but man, does it make my fake out ring look legit. We meant to upgrade, but never got around to it in the years we've been married. Story 106. I know this will get buried, but anyway, I had just moved and had no job but needed a car, so not exactly cheap, but cheap for cars. I went to one of those pop-up used car lots, and I bought the cheapest truck they had for like $6K from a guy named Biscuit. The car lot closed up shop like 6 months later, and I figured I might get a good year or two out of it, but here I am 6 years later, and the thing's still going like a champ. Thank you, Biscuit. Story 107. I bought an acoustic guitar at a pawn shop in 2007 for $85. 12 years later, I've played that guitar probably 30 minutes a day on average. I've played it on 4 continents, in funerals and weddings, and in more random coffee shop shows than I can count. Turns out it's a custom guitar built by a small guitar maker out of Fort Worth. It's an absolute beast. Best 85 he'll ever spend. Story 108. 70 ring from JCPenney's. Wife for 22 years and counting. That's 3.8 year. Really good investment. Of course she throws it at me from time to time, but a 70 ring doesn't do too much damage. Plus she throws like a girl, so there's that. Story 109. A rice cooker from Walmart. Best purchase ever. I always over or undercooked rice until we got this, and at first we kind of underestimated it. But having a spot on the stove free and not actually having to monitor it and cooking perfect rice every time, gold. Story 110. Didn't even buy it, but a chair I picked up at a furniture bank for my first apartment has lasted with me over a decade now. The fake upholstery has basically disintegrated, and I put a blanket over it, but it's strong. I call it my Martin Crane chair. That's it for this video. Don't forget to support Vancher and my second channel, Vanchus. See you soon.